It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this for August 10th, 2023. For the next hour or so, let me help you sort through the world of gaming on Game Mess Mornings Live with me, Jeff Grubb. Today, PS5 missed its extremely high sales expectations and Avowed avoids co-op. But first, please join me in welcoming today's co-host to Game Mess Mornings. It's Jan Ochoa once again, everybody. Jan, how are you feeling?
I'm feeling fantastic. Everything is in sync now. I'm here on a Thursday. Everything feels right. I don't feel compelled to do a poor accent to imitate one of our dear friends.
Yeah, you don't have to be compelled. You just do it for fun. Just do it for leisure and relaxation.
What are things that Lucy says? Lord of the Rings, Jeff Bacalo, you're complete knob. The Eagles have names.
It's not pronounced Golem. It's pronounced Golem.
This is complete shite, lads. I blame Tam and Lucy for me saying lads all the time now.
And I don't think she's ever complained about how I say Gollum, however I say it. I don't even remember
Aluminium, Grubb. Come on.
That's how you pronounce it. Absolutely. Jan, it's a lot of video games, man.
Too many. What the hell?
I am overwhelmed. It is like I'm like I can't stop playing Pikmin 4, and that game keeps going long after the credits. I did the thing that Mike said, where it's like, oh, you do the Captain Alamar thing, and he mentioned that, and I had heard about it. I'm like, oh, eventually I must just get there eventually. It's like, oh no, you go talk to Alamar, and then he Roberto Alamar is who you talk to, and then he like tells you his story, and then you play through his 15 days, and it's timed and stuff. It is like. It's super good, and I couldn't stop playing it, and I just did it in one sitting, and it was it was very, very cool. It's not like very long because again, it's timed. But boy, that was just really good stuff. I actually discovered it because Addie started playing it. She wanted to play as Alamar, and she's like, oh, so I talked to him, and I'm like, wait, are you playing? I'm like, oh, and then I realized she had like wasted a couple of my days, so I had to rewind and do it over. But it's I'm like still playing that. I am going to finish Tears of the Kingdom this weekend. That's just happening. I'm just getting that done. But even then, it's like I really want to be playing Baldur's Gate 3. And I'm like trying to figure out the best way to fit that in. And I just don't know. Have you kept up with it at all?
No, I'm in the same boat as you, sir. I made the fatal mistake of re-downloading Team Fortress 2 to try and prep for Thursday Night Throwdowns happening an hour after Game Mess Mornings today, if you're watching live. And I didn't want to brag earlier in the week because I think I used to be pretty tricky on the stick. Now I'm pretty shitty on the stick, and all those skills have completely atrophied. But oh geez, Grubb, there's too many games. I'm trying to get into Ghost Trick, like I mentioned on the Bombcast.
Yep.
I'm still playing Dave the Diver. I love that big man. And then Baldur's Gate 3 is just looming on my Steam Deck. But you know what I did, Grubb? I had to clear space for Baldur's Gate on my Steam Deck, and then it gave me a chance to peruse what I had installed. And for no reason, unprompted by anything, I was like, let's go play Persona 5 Strikers. Played a good hour of that. I'm like, oh, this is great.
I mean, who am I to judge? I did that with Golden Sun on the Steam Deck. I was like, I just started playing that out of nowhere. I guess I got sick of Nintendo taking forever to put those games out. But yeah, how Persona 5 Strikers, how's that treating you?
It's cool. It's great. They should maybe not rip apart and capitalize off the popularity of all of their mainline Persona games, but I enjoy those freaks.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That is like the one, like Muso is maybe, it's not exactly a Muso, but it is Muso-like-ish.
Yeah, yes. I think it did it a disservice to label it as a Muso, because then a lot of people wrote it off.
Exactly. That's why I'm like being hesitant about it, because some of the gameplay plays similar to Muso games, and that's it's a cool fit. But if it's still mostly Persona, that's neat as well. All right, this is how we get behind on games. We take too long talking about them. Okay, before we get into this mess, let's explain what we do here. Most weekdays, I, Jeff Grubb, will help piece your gaming life back together. That includes breaking news and maybe even some of our own original reporting. For all these topics, I'll get the input of a bona fide expert who will make me look smart. If you are watching live on Twitch, welcome. You can always listen to the show later on podcast feeds by searching for Game Mess Mornings or find the RSS on giantbomb.com. You can also catch the show later with chapters and timestamps on YouTube. Hello, YouTube. Okay, we have a lot to get into, so let's start the morning mess with PlayStation 5 UK sales surge again as Sony admits performance had been weaker than expected. This comes from Christopher Dring at GamesIndustry.biz. PlayStation 5 sales continue to accelerate in the UK on the back of its new £399 price point. The deal started 2 weeks ago and had an immediate impact, with console sales jumping by 75% in that first week. Now into the second week, its sales continue to climb, with PS5 units up 59% and revenue is up 51%. Last week was the biggest week of the year so far for PS5 sales in the UK. And that data, of course, as always, comes from GfK, which tracks these things in the UK. The standard PS5 SKU is now up 511% compared with the week before the promotions began. The standard PS5 accounted for 92% of the total number of PS5 consoles sold last week. So far this year, PS5 unit sales are 73% up for the first 31 weeks of the year, and represents 47% of all home consoles sold through this year, whereas this time last year, PS5 accounted for about 31% of the market. Despite the growth, PlayStation revealed that performance in the UK was lower than expected. Speaking during its financial call, as transcribed by Seeking Alpha, Sony's COO Hiroki Totoki says that the latest promotional activity is showing promise. PS5 hardware sales were 3.3 million units for the first quarter, and this is a quote now, a significant increase of 38% year on year. This amount is somewhat less than expected progress toward our fiscal year sales target of 25 million units, but due to the promotion began in July, we are seeing an improvement in the momentum of sales. Jan, 25 million in a year was always a lofty target. This is not some like, oh, they aren't doing what they, really hope. This is them not doing, their wildest expectations, basically. They put that out there as, I think, a way to sort of force themselves into a situation where they had to, like, really get to that number, because I think it's important for them to catch up and make sure that the market share looks really strong coming out of this year. But this also probably still lines up, these sales for the PS5, something you wouldn't think would need to be on sale. But maybe it does, according to them, because they're like, oh, it hadn't met expectations. But it still feels like this is partly like, okay, yeah, let's juice those numbers, but also get a lot of these older PS5s out of the supply chain, because maybe another revision is coming soon, right? Maybe there's multiple factors.
Yeah, I just don't understand, and forgive me for being not a businessman, but why would you make astronomically large targets other than just being hopefully optimistic or trying to guarantee numbers for investors?
Yes, it's a weird thing. Like, usually what happens is these companies have conservative estimations for investors, and then internally they have lofty targets. I know that's something that Xbox has done, where Xbox is like, we're expecting this, investors, and then internally Phil Spencer has set really high targets for his teams, because he wants them to think like, we want to be acting a little bit desperate. We want to be acting a little bit like, what can we come up with to actually get there? Can we come up with any new ideas? And that makes sense. This might just be an extreme example of that, though, right? Where it's like, well, if we tell the investors, we have to do something.
Yeah, it internally, it feels like it makes all the sense, right? Have that lofty goal, like, yeah, let's hit it. If we can hit it, no worries. But to extend that goal and tell investors, it just seems like it seems like what all these tech companies are doing, where we're going to have this infinite growth mindset that is completely unsustainable. I don't know, Grubb. If it feels like, hey, investors, Mr. Mystery Businessman, we're going to sell at least 20 PS5s. And you know what? We sold way more than 20.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
I'd be like, yo, that's sick. Good job, Sony.
Right, and that's literally what these companies do over and over. I mean, EA is notorious for like really conservative estimations, things like that. So,
the thing I'm curious about is, don't they have people tracking like business and the markets and history and trends and stuff to like properly give estimates and goals?
Yeah, and like a lot of these investors they're with like institutional investment companies and banks that totally know. Like there's always the analyst expectations is a big thing. There's later we're gonna have a story about Roblox missing analyst expectations, and that really hurt their stock price. These analysts know kind of what is realistic, and so when you go over the top on what they might expect, you're setting yourself up for potential problem. Now, this probably does go back to Sony being like, this is actually just our strategy to, again, force a situation where if we do, this might be 4D chess. It could be 4D chess where they want to get to 25 million sold so bad that they just said that they were going to do that, so that when they were like, hey, we're going to cut the price to help accomplish that, that doesn't look like some move that out of nowhere. It's like, oh, this feels like part of that plan, and it's not so like it's not some desperation strategy where they feel like the PlayStation 5 isn't worth that price anymore. It's a temporary thing to make moves, and that's kind of what they say. We have positioned the accelerated penetration of PS5 hardware as one of the highest priorities in the fiscal year, and we will try to work steadily to implement necessary measures to achieve hardware sales target. Towards the end of the calendar year, the first-party title, Marvel's Spider-Man 2, and major third-party titles are scheduled to be released as well, and we expect that the entire gaming industry and the PlayStation platform will be greatly energized. So they're still not suggesting anything about new hardware yet, but they are saying, Call of Duty is going to happen, and Spider-Man 2 is going to happen, and then we have this deal right now that is pushing sales out there, and all those factors combined should get them to 25 million, and they probably will, because these sales really are having a big effect.
Yeah, I think, was it earlier this week? Sometime earlier this week, we were talking about what is going to definitely move the needle for PS5s. I think we may have totally forgotten about the power of Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah, we did. That is going to be huge.
And, for that to be not only currently the third highest rated game of 2023, but concurrently 700,000 players on Steam. Was that correct?
I think it got up to 800,000.
Holy smokes. Well, I'm sure there are a bunch of folks out there that still don't have the means to play PC games, but are familiar or buy into the hype of Baldur's Gate 3.
I mean, and it fits so neatly into that.
Yeah.
Hey, we don't have Starfield, but we all spent $500 on this system, and we are going to get behind this thing as the anti-Starfield. And I think Baldur's Gate 3 is going to stand up on its own merits. I think people are going to fall in love with it based on just what the game is. But I think there's a lot of PlayStation fans that are going to want to show up for a game that is not coming at Xbox while Starfield is coming out that same exact day.
Right. And then on top of that, I'm looking at like a vague calendar now, and then Mortal Kombat 1 as well.
Yeah.
There's a strong fighting game scene that lives on the PlayStation. And yeah, just Jesus, they'll definitely get. I don't know if they're gonna 100% nail it, but there are definitely third-party titles to help bolster the library for the PS5 this year. Armored Core 6.
Yep. Yeah, a lot of these third-party games are going to pop off very hard on the PlayStation 5, and Spider-Man 2 obviously the biggest one. Maybe Call of Duty actually still the biggest one, but Spider-Man 2 right there. And then, all these other things are going to be supplementary to actually getting things done for the PlayStation 5. And it probably does actually end up getting to 25 million consoles sold this fiscal year. Okay, let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything else from this story. Retailers have been bundling the software of the console, including the likes of Saints Row Forspoken and Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga. That's also helped. Overall, PS5 hardware has dropped 11% in its average selling price since the promotion began. The average price of the most popular PS5 last week was £401, which is £84 cheaper than the most popular Xbox console. They got very aggressive, and it's surprising because it's like, I don't remember, it felt like the PlayStation 5 would never have to go down in price, and they raised the price on the thing. So to have it drop so significantly, it's pretty impressive. All right, moving on. Avowed originally had multiplayer co-op. Let me click on something real quick here. Okay, this is from George Yang at GameSpot. Obsidian Entertainment revealed that its upcoming RPG, Avowed, originally had multiplayer co-op before the studio pivoted to make it a single-player game. In the fifth and final part of Obsidian's 20th anniversary documentary, founder Fergus Urquhart explained that he pushed for multiplayer co-op in Avowed back when the studio was still independent. It was a more interesting game to publishers, he said. When you're asking for 50, 60, 70, or $80 million, you got to have something interesting to talk about. And multiplayer made it interesting. Head of development, Justin Birch, added, we were too focused on co-op, too focused on changing how our pipelines work, the way we write conversations, the way we write quests, and everything else. Obsidian realized later that it wasn't working on the gameplay aspects the studio was best at, so the team pivoted to make sure that Avowed felt more like a game that Obsidian would create. This is maybe the exact same story, but on a parallel universe to like Redfall, right?
Right. Yeah. It's the on the opposite side of the spectrum. Hopefully, it lands better than Redfall, though, Grubb.
Right. Yes. Yeah. I think that's the idea here, is that they had the opportunity to pull back from the cliff that they were on, that they didn't necessarily need to be on, and they didn't want to, but they felt they had to be. And this game seems to have had enough time to be like, oh, Microsoft has money. We don't have to ask for that money anymore. We don't have to like force ourselves to make a game that we don't necessarily love making or even know how to accurately make. And it makes a ton of sense. Like, that is true. Multiplayer games, if you just look at the MPD chart every month, the Circana chart, excuse me. If you look at the Circana chart every month, it's usually multiplayer games that make up a bulk of that, or at least they have the ones that have the best chance of going to the top. It's changed a little bit in recent years with some surges from some big single player games. But multiplayer games tend to be very, very popular and sell very well. And then they have the chance for microtransactions and long-term play and stuff like that. But I don't think anyone, when they first heard about Avowed, was like, that's what I want from that. That's what I want from an Obsidian game. I want Obsidian to make a RPG where I can experiment in a world that they have crafted for me, right?
Yeah. Also, I'm re-looking at the trailer for Avowed. I just don't know how you shift that scale to include like multiplayer, because then you run into the struggle that we're kind of running into with Baldur's Gate 3, where I have to make a fresh new character, and then I'm just reminded of the Redfall fiasco of this year of like, all right, where are we tracking progress? Who's keeping the progress, hosting, and et cetera, et cetera. Don't feel like you have to ham fist multiplayer into your game, folks. Please.
Yeah. And it's, I get like, man, you're making that pitch. You feel like you got to do something like that. But this is one of, people worry about consolidation, and fair enough. I get that. But this is one of the benefits of having a huge corporate backing, that a lot of these studios get to make the games that they want to make instead.
Good for Obsidian.
Yeah, right, exactly. And it's like, that doesn't mean there's not going to be other pitfalls. There's obviously going to be other problems when you're working in a big situation like that. But hey, if Avowed comes out and is the single player game that we would want from Obsidian, that's at least one win, one W for Microsoft actually providing some support to these studios.
Versus being shifted to like, all right, you're working on Call of Duty.
Yes, exactly. Right. Any number of things that can happen to a studio like this. We'll be getting some more Starfield information next week. This is from Alex Hopley.
Okay, real quick, before you read this story, Grubb.
Yes, please.
I have to ask you, do you want more news or information on Starfield? Do you personally?
I don't know. You know what? Normally, I'm usually fine. This is a game I'm like, no, I think I get it, and I just need to be playing it. I just want to be playing it. Actually, that's the reality. That would be the best situation. And I will probably not be like seeking this out. If there's cool headlines, we'll talk about it on the show or whatever.
Of course.
But yeah, no, I'm good. I'm kind of like, I just need to go in there and discover it on my own, which is the very exciting proposition of that game. So how are you feeling about that?
Grubb, you've managed to convince me to get into Pikmin 4. I wasn't really sold on Starfield, but the excitement is contagious here. It's palpable. So I feel like for you, I will give it a try.
Let's find out. It's going to be good stuff. I hope it's good. We'll see. But we'll be getting more Starfield information next week. Starfield is hosting an exclusive developer Q&A. It's probably Bethesda's hosting an exclusive developer Q&A on the 16th of August, hosted by Will Shen and Emil Pagliarulo. I'm going to try this. Pagliarulo. There we go.
Pagliari, the sad clown.
Yes, the sad clown. The Q&A session will take place at 1300 European time, I think. Or maybe that's Eastern time. God, who knows? And will be only available to those who've joined the official Bethesda Discord. It doesn't seem like it'll be too hard to get access, as a link in the Twitter post below will take you right to the server. At that point next week, there will be a couple of weeks left until people get access to Starfield in full. The game is due out September 1st if you have the super special edition, and then 5 days later if you get the regular version. So, yeah, people will be playing it pretty soon. But this is an interesting way of doing things, getting people in your Discord server. I suppose even a company as big as Bethesda is like, we need that community juice, and not just on our forums anymore.
Totally, 100%. One of the things I enjoy that we do like every other month are like the Discord town halls, and just having like that Q&A and just getting down to brass tacks. But also it's just fun being around the community. And I imagine hopefully the folks that would tune in for this on Bethesda and go through all the hoops to join the Discord and everything aren't shitty people.
Yep, exactly. You just kind of want to really that just comes down to moderators for these companies should be pretty aggressive. It's the rule in my Discord is no line stepping. I think that's a good line. People know when they're stepping up to the line and then bouncing and like shifting backward, being like, "Oh, I didn't mean it. I was just being cute." It's like, no, get the fuck out. I know what you were doing.
Yeah. The secret rule for my secret Discord is constantly two-stepping, though.
Oh yeah, well, I mean that's the other way to keep people in line, of course. Yeah. Yes. Ooh, woo, sorry. Yes, that's
where folks can find my nudes. My news.
News. Yes, the OnlyFans is where you find the nudes. All right. Supreme Court ruling allows Apple to keep charging 30% App Store fee for now. This comes from David Walensky at GameSpot. The U.S. Supreme Court ruled on Wednesday against Epic Games, the creator of Fortnite, in its legal clash with Apple. Justice Alina Kagan refused to enforce a federal judge's order that could compel Apple to alter its payment practices within its App Store. Reuters was first to report this. Kagan, representing the Supreme Court, denied Epic's appeal to lift a verdict from the San Francisco-based 9th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals, effectively postponing the implementation of an injunction issued by a U.S. District Judge, Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers. This injunction had halted specific App Store regulations as Apple pursues an appeal in the Supreme Court. The 9th Circuit had previously validated the injunction in April, but in July, the court suspended the enforcement. Kagan is responsible for urgent matters within the Supreme Court originating from a coalition of states, including California. Epic had initiated an antitrust lawsuit in 2020. Everyone remembers the commercial where they mocked the 1984 thing, which was just cinema, of course. And then they've been fighting ever since. And here we are. And of course, we always Epic and Tim Sweeney's like, oh, that's a 30% tax. I'm like, Tim, that's not a tax, but fair enough. You're still allowed to be mad about it. So yeah, this just is. It seems like a small bump, but of course, Epic's not happy about it because they thought they were going to be in a situation where they could get around this, and now they have to continue to wait and hopefully wait for the Supreme Court to actually rule on this one way or the other. But it seems like this is the kind of thing that could actually go to the Supreme Court. So we'll see. I don't know. For me, I go back and forth on like the cuts for these big stores. They have done a lot of work to get all these people in one place and willing to like hand over credit card information and buy things, and that's clearly worth something. But it does feel like there should be some more pressure in the market to push those prices down, those cuts down. And it's like, where does that come from? It's like, well, if you go to Android, but it's like that's a whole other separate siloed ecosystem. They don't really affect one another all that much. So something needs to change here, right?
Yeah, 100% something needs to change. I feel like people need to dogpile on Apple. Everyone just gang up on Apple. Just like, I'm not saying rob Tim Sweeney. How much cash do you think he carries? He doesn't carry any cash. What am I saying?
Yeah, he's not Mike Minotti.
No, he's not Mike Minotti. Who is?
No.
But I think it's going to take a more concentrated effort than just Epic. And also, like, from an optics perspective, $1 billion company yelling at another $1 billion company doesn't help. I feel like one of the $1 billion companies has to like, oh no, you know what? We got these little guys with us too.
Yep. Yeah. And to be fair, Apple $1 trillion company. That's but people always point that out. It's like, oh, Epic's the little guy in comparison. It's like,
I can't even think of that much money.
I know but it's impossible. But also, like, what a $25 billion company, whatever Epic is, like they have access to certain levers in our government and judicial systems that we couldn't even imagine. So it's like, no, they're not really the little guy. Come on. But still, they are doing the thing of like finding some way to put pressure on Apple. And Apple's like it looks like they're going to try to hold off on it. And we'll see.
Get Roblox on the phone, baby.
Yeah, it's we'll see. But I the way it works on Android is kind of like what Epic seems to want, where it's you can have like I can install other stores on my Android phone without having to get permission from Google or to jailbreak my device. I can go get the Amazon App Store. I remember that was like a thing that launched, and you get that on Kindle Fires these days or whatever. But you would I could install it and get like the free app of the day, and like in the early days that was like a big deal. But no one did it because no one's going to go through the effort of installing other app stores. They just use what is in front of them. And so even if these things are open, most momentum is going to continue going into the app store anyhow, which is why, Epic's thing here is like, we want to use the app store, but we don't want to pay money to Apple for using the App Store. And it's like, that doesn't make a ton of sense to me, actually. It's like, there's got to be another way around that. I don't know. Because there's no store in the world where you can go in someone else's store and then not give them some money for being in their store. So,
yeah. I only assume that farmers markets, the farmers have to pay whoever owns the farmers market.
Yeah, like you're like almost certainly like renting a slot on in that area, right? Because it's like, it could be a co-op, but I don't think Apple's going to agree to be a cooperatively owned.
Oh no, especially not with Epic after they made that commercial.
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. Like in all honesty, do you think Epic making that commercial mocking Apple ultimately just made someone at the top just like, we're not letting this slide. We could have let it go.
Yeah, but I don't think it's just the commercial. I think that's like one of the many things of like, this Tim Sweeney guy's kind of a douchebag is what I think people at Apple think. I don't think that's him. But I think people at Apple are like, he like writes these like headstrong emails directly to us telling us what he's going to do, and then he goes around our backs and tries to like pull a fast one and he tries to make this big thing, and he tries to get all the Fortnite fans to rally against Apple, like hashtag free Fortnite or whatever the fuck that was.
Oh my God.
All that stuff is, if you are someone like Tim Apple. Tim Apple. I was trying to say that. That's why I can't remember his name anymore, because all I can think about is Tim Apple. If you're Tim Apple, you're like, I am like a respected business leader. Why am I putting up with this fucking buffoonery? So I think that commercial was right in line with all that kind of behavior. Now, to Tim Sweeney, to his end, like, he's got the money, he can get away with it. He's going to keep doing it. So Apple's going to have to keep trying to figure out how to handle him. All right, Metroid Prime 4 reportedly contains massive areas to explore, though not quite open worlds. This is from My Nintendo News. Details on the long-awaited Metroid Prime 4 are certainly hard to come by, as everyone at Retro Studios and Nintendo remain tight-lipped about the project. However, Xbox Era co-founder Nick Baker recently spoke about the game on the Xbox podcast and reportedly learning new information from his sources. Baker says that the game is set to feature massive open areas to explore, which he likened to the Xbox game Halo Infinite, though the game itself won't be an open world adventure. This makes sense, as the tech has moved on a lot since the days of Metroid Prime 3 corruption on the Wii. Baker has also said the visuals environments in Metroid Prime 4 reportedly look unbelievable, which makes sense. There's a lot of really great artists in Texas working around Retro in that orbit. Retro's always like prided itself on that, and I imagine a lot of people who have great portfolios would probably want to work at Retro Studios on a Metroid Prime game. The big open spaces but not open world thing, like Metroidvania's got a Metroidvania, right, Jan? How do you make that work in a big open environment? That it's possible, right? I mean, Breath of the Wild was like, Zelda's kind of similar, and Breath of the Wild worked, right?
Yeah, I guess with Breath of the Wild, you can kind of like, and Tears of the Kingdom, you can kind of force your way into solutions in a way that I don't think you can / should do in a Metroidvania type of game.
I agree with that, yeah.
So I feel like the open worlds, yes, great, but some of it has to definitely be curated and sectioned off in a way. Zones. Let's do zones. Kind of like maybe like a Monster Hunter
or
open
Sonic
world.
Frontiers open zone gameplay.
Yeah, open
Let's
zone.
go.
That's what I meant. Yeah, totally. I don't know. Death Stranding adjacent, perhaps.
Yeah, people are pointing like sequence breaking is something that happens in Metroidvania games, and I like sequence breaking. It is very specific and not like Breath of the Wild and a lot. Breath of the Wild, it's just like, no, figure it out on your own. And sequence breaking is there's a sequence to be broken. Like that's so I like there's room for creativity in Metroidvanias and room for finding loopholes in the connected world that they build. But I do think I want them to like maintain that balance of like mostly there's a sequence and you are finding out how these things that you get unlock that stuff. But I also think that can work in a more open space. And if those open spaces do provide you more like, excuse me, the opportunity to figure things out on your own, and then getting out of those big zones is like more similar to a Metroidvania. I think I would be fine with that.
Nintendo surprisingly very good at making maps. So I think given like a good map system, just take the Tears of the Kingdom one, add some fun neon to it, throw it in Metroid, and you're good to go.
That's it. That's Metroid Prime 4 right there, everybody.
And let me scan stuff.
Yeah, definitely. I'll say, at the very least, this sounds like not just Metroid Prime 1, 2, and 3 again. It does sound like they're going for something, and that's all I'm not really asking for is like, make it bigger. It should probably be bigger. Metroid Prime 1 is one of my favorite games of all time. If you were to make that game today, it would have to be bigger in a lot of ways. So that's what they're doing here. I'd be interested to see how that actually ends up playing out. When do you think we get that game? I still think it's before.
Oh boy,
I think it's probably before Switch 2, and then if at the latest it's a cross-gen game for Switch 2. But that means if that's happening, that means first half of next year. If it's like fully a Switch game. Year. So, and that's kind of where I'm still leaning towards first half of next year for Metroid Prime 4.
Yeah, I could see that slotting in well in like the spring, like right before the summer, right?
Yes, that sounds, totally. I think so. That's exactly what I'm thinking. So, Nature Beast
Metroid March.
Yeah, Metroid March. Let's go. Metroid Madness. Nature on B in Twitch chat says, Grubb, care to put your hair where your mouth is? Absolutely the hell not. Not happening.
I was going to say I'll do it, but no.
No. But hey, if
I don't want Mike Minotti cutting my hair.
Yes, if you ever do want to shave your hair, just make an outlandish bet on the internet and you'll be good. All right, Twisted Metal is Peacock's most binge comedy premiere to date. This comes from Chris Scullion at VGC. Twisted Metal is Peacock's most binge comedy premiere. I'm sorry, I can't help but say it that way. NBC Universal has claimed, as reported by Deadline, the 10-episode series, which was added to Peacock in its entirety on July 27th, has performed relatively well by the media company standards. According to NBC Universal, viewers of the show watched an average of 3 episodes back-to-back, with some even watching all 10 in a row. Total viewing figures haven't been provided, but Nielsen ratings data says the show clocked up 400 million viewing minutes in the weekend after it premiered, a figure Deadline says made it one of the most watched streaming originals of the week. The show has had a mixed response from critics and is currently sitting on a Metacritic score of 53. That's pretty good on Metacritic, actually, for a TV show. Like, some of the really, some of the best shows get in the 90s, yes. But a lot of, like, the very good shows are, like, 75, 76. So, like, it's not some, like, complete travesty if you're, like, 53 on Metacritic. Rotten Tomatoes has a 60%, 68%. And, of course, that's just up or down. Like, yes, recommend or not, don't recommend. And then the audience score is 94%. Have you, Jan Ochoa, watched Twisted Metal?
I have not. But I see a lot of our peers in the industry saying, not a lot, but a handful, saying like, oh, surprisingly not bad. And friend of the site, I really love Samoa Joe. I like Will Arnett. I like Anthony. I like everyone attached to this show. Same. I think it's just the trailers have done a really poor job. And I'm not the biggest fan of Twisted Metal, but seeing this and hearing the early positive buzz and people saying, it's okay. I'll eventually give it a shot once video games stop and once TV stops.
Right. During the apocalypse, right?
Right. During when actual Twisted Metal would happen.
Yeah, I'm I continue to feel guilty because we just made so much fun of it before it came out, and now it's out, and people are like, this is fine. Like this is like this.
That's
It nails its tone.
everything.
I know, and then it's like, shit, I should just kept my mouth shut. Because now I'm like, I built it up like, well, there's no way this could be good. And it's like, well, it is now. Are you going to watch it? I'm like, no, I'm not. I'm not going to watch it. I don't have time. I don't know, maybe someday, but right now, no chance I'm gonna have any minutes to spare for a Twisted Metal. It comes up. I was on Peacock yesterday to watch Columbo, and I saw it there, and I just skipped right past it. But
yeah,
I think people have compared it to Peacemaker, which is like, okay, that could get me on board, right? Like Peacemaker really worked for me, a show that is trying to be dumb and is really smart in the ways that it's dumb, and it's like if that's what Twisted Metal is going for. Okay, that sounds good. I just don't have any time right now. But hey, it's successful, so we probably get Twisted Metal season 2 eventually.
Sure. Yeah. Okay.
Is Peacock the one that had the Halo show?
That's Paramount Plus.
Paramount Plus. Thank you. I can't, man. It's all these P ones.
I'm so okay, Grubb. Not to narc myself here, please. But on one of my Apple TVs. I'm currently logged into a Paramount Plus account that I don't know the login info because I think it's my old CBSI stuff.
Oh.
And I don't know the login info. I try and go to the account info stuff. It doesn't give me squat. I think that's also why I still have Showtime.
So, but you are logged in, though. I mean, you are logged in, right?
Only in one of the Apple TVs.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean, listen, you just put that thing in resin, keep it safe forever, and just never log out.
I'm scared to put Hello Kitty on it.
Yes, right. You don't want to do messing any updates. Maybe might screw that up. So yeah, you just do it. You keep it safe. You keep it safe. Get a whole other Apple TV, put it right next to it, and then that could just be your Paramount. Which one? Yes, your Paramount one. Yeah, there you go. I heard that new Star Trek season ended really well. People are talking it up, and I'm like, maybe one day I'll get around to watching that.
I don't know. Is this the year I get into Star Trek? Never seen any of it.
I'll tell you what. Watch. That's a good thing to start with. The shows, there's a lot of shows. Watch that Star Trek 2009, and if you like that, go back and watch the original series movies. The first original series movie is acquired taste, but then you get into Wrath of Khan, which is actually just one of the best movies ever. So
okay,
yeah, I recommend.
I like all the people in this movie.
Yes. Oh yeah. That's a fun movie, and you can watch the sequels as well. They can be fun, but that first one is especially fun. Speaking of more Sony movies / TV stuff, everyone, and that's a quote, wants to make another Uncharted movie.
Oh no!
Hello, yeah. sorry, I'm in an Arby's right now, but Dan, I would totally help you get into Star Trek, buddy. I'd be right here for you, man. I'll show you the TNGs, the DS9s, the Voids, the Ents. We'll have a good time. Titties, maybe, kind of, to pull. Yeah, you'll have a good time. You boys are wonderful. You have a great show. Love you. Bye. Mwah.
Okay.
Okay.
He was
thanks, Mike.
He hasn't been feeling well all week, and it sounds like the medicine is working. So there we go, everybody. Jesus Christ. The one thing I remember from Star Trek, not First Contact, but the show that took place back in the old days, is the Spock lady, the Vulcan lady, having to put on this slime, and so she'd like go under her shirt, and it's like this is like how Star Trek on CW gets away with being sexy and like rubbing stuff on boobs, but not actually showing boobs. It stuck with me. Yeah, T'Pol.
Wow.
Star Trek Enterprise.
Well then.
Yeah. I can't help it. Everyone wants to make another Uncharted. Martin enjoyed last year's Uncharted movie far more than I did. I don't know who Martin is, but it's definitely not a bad adventure. That must be the reviewer at Game Reactor. That's why it was fun to see the post-credit scene teasing a sequel and it doing fairly well commercially. Not that this necessarily meant another one was a given. Tom Holland didn't sound especially eager to return as Nathan Drake and has gone through a few things since then. What has Tom Holland gone through? Bad movies, right? He's just done a lot of bad movies. Is that what it is?
He went through an Apple TV series that was kind of mentally taxing on him, I believe. Also, yeah, he got drinking issues, substance abuse issues.
Okay, I did not hear about that. Okay, well, buck up, Tom Holland. Hope you're doing well. Yes, Tom Holland didn't sound especially eager to return, but producer Charles Roven sounds very enthusiastic when asked if he wants to make another Uncharted movie in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. Oh yeah, we had a really good time with that movie. The fans really liked the movie, and people who didn't know anything about the game really liked it as well. So we are definitely looking forward to making another one of those. I mean, that's something the producer says, right? I mean, Jen, maybe you know better than I do. Is that like, does that sound confident?
I mean, of course, like with a producer, or if you're like a producer level, EP level, of course, if something does commercially well, you're always going to say, let's make more, baby. It doesn't help if your leading man of the series says he doesn't want to do it anymore, though. But it's, we're in an interesting part of Hollywood where there's a lot of studios that almost don't want to recast characters.
Right.
Because, I mean, we've seen that across Marvel with Wakanda Forever. No one wanted to replace Chadwick Boseman's Black Panther. The drama surrounding Jonathan Majors and not wanting to recast Kang, at least for now.
Yeah, we'll see.
We'll see. I mean, hey, you could definitely age up Nathan Drake and then replace Tom Holland with someone else, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe just make it play a much older, fast forward through some of the relationship drama and get to like where Nathan Drake is with his relationships in the video games. Mirror that.
Yeah.
Did you see the Uncharted movie, Grubb? I thought it was okay.
I haven't watched it. I'll
solid
get
3 stars.
I like Across the Universe just came home and I haven't even watched that yet. I could buy, and I'm like, I have no time for even movies, but Uncharted's one that I will watch it eventually. I bet it is inoffensive, has been my guess.
It's inoffensive, it has like a weird story of like, hey, maybe we a good story, a subplot, I guess, of like, hey, maybe we shouldn't be stealing all these treasures from these islands and all that jazz and all these people. Yeah, that's cool. But I got a little cold coin.
That's what I was hoping for from the last Indiana Jones, was them being the major plot. Is like, we should actually go back to the museum and steal from the museum and take it back to the people we took it from. But no, I still like that movie. Sony, it seems all in on their movie stuff and their TV stuff, and especially with, I think, Twisted Metal proving to be a success by some measure. They got to be like, you know what, this is working for us, and we know how to do it, and we're working with the right partners. And even when the property isn't like something that they're like, oh, obviously that makes sense to be a TV show or a movie, we are finding ways to make it make sense. And I don't think Uncharted, on the borderline there, but not, again, it's not so like off in the deep end, like it's drowning or something. They're figuring it out, and I bet an Uncharted 2 could work in a lot of ways. And I agree with the aging up the character, if that's what they have to do. People in chat keep shouting Nathan Fillion.
It's too late, guys.
It's probably past. They won't want to do this for like establishing a new franchise, but they could maybe do it like they fast forward a ton, and he is the older Nathan Drake, and then they do flashbacks and then they de-age him. But they're not going to want to do that. They're going to want to have a star that they can rely on for years and years and years. And if that's not Tom Holland, and it still could be Tom Holland, they're probably gonna find someone else. But does Mark Wahlberg come back is what I want.
Oh, fuck Mark Wahlberg.
Yeah, no thanks.
Yeah. Honestly, what I think they could do if they wanted to stick with Tom Holland and convince him, I could, and hey, I think Tom Holland's great as Spider-Man. I do enjoy some of his acting. And very, very young guy. I hope he's doing well with his issues and everything. I think they can easily slot and turn Uncharted into a new Mission Impossible series.
Ooh, yeah.
Just amp up the stunts. Shout out to the short kings out there, man. Like, Mission Impossible is the only reason why I like Tom Cruise. Yeah, and I guess Top Gun Maverick.
He's done so much for men of average stature.
Yes,
and it's like, you got to respect
that. Great for the Asian community, Grubb.
Can I tell you where I'm at with like that genre of movie that you were just talking about?
Where?
I am desperate to go back and watch 2002's seminal new metal James Bond triple X. Let's fucking go. I need it. I need it real bad, actually. I just thought, like, James Bond, but he snowboards and has tattoos and is kind of like, oh, I'm too cool for school. Let's go. There's a new one, I think. I'll have to watch that too, but whatever. I just want to go back and watch the original. I need it.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We all need it. We all need it.
Right,
okay.
yeah.
I did the stupidest thing. I just typed 3 X's into Google.
You got to do 3X's 2002, right? That's a movie.
It's probably not gonna. Okay.
Yeah. Well, lessons learned. Anyway,
I gotta delete my history.
Look what I found here. They have this on the internet. All right, let's move on here. GTA company explains why its franchises rarely get made into movies or TV shows, unlike Sony. This is from Eddie McCooch at GameSpot. Take-Two owns some of the biggest franchises in gaming, including Grand Theft Auto, but the company hasn't done much in the way of bringing its franchises to TV and film over the years. CEO Strauss Zelnick has shed some more light on the reasons for this as part of Take-Two's latest earnings briefing. First, Zelnick said there is only a relatively small opportunity to actually make money on film and TV adaptations, which he said actually make more money which he said are typically very challenged asset classes. Very cool phrase. Zelnick noted that he has a personal familiarity with this because prior to joining Take-Two, he was an executive at Columbia Pictures and 20th Century Fox, in addition to sitting on the board at CBS. Zelnick said HBO's The Last of Us and Universal's The Super Mario Bros. Movie were rare examples of video games finding success within TV and film adaptations. And to point out 2 successes, as notable as they may be, belies the fact, and this is quoting him, that there are many, many failures where money was lost. So far, we've taken a very selective approach to licensing. Can he say that when they're fucking making a Borderlands movie?
I don't know if he knows what he's completely saying here.
Yeah, right? I don't know if he could say that. That is them, right? Because that's under Take-Two. Like, that counts. I think that definitely counts as them. Let's see what else he said. Take-Two is shifting its stance somewhat in recent times as it's working with Lionsgate on a Borderlands movie and with Netflix on a BioShock film. Beyond those, Zelnick said, we could see licensing in the future where there's a creative imperative and an economic opportunity. Zelnick said Take-Two is wary of transmedia efforts because it is only licensing the rights to a particular game series, not actually producing it, where the company could have more control. He's not entirely wrong here about, like, because, like, this is why companies like Ubisoft try to have Ubisoft Pictures, and Square tried to make their own movies as well. And look at those efforts now. So
sure.
The alternative that he's saying, isn't explicitly saying, is we could do it ourselves, but that's a lot of time and money, and we could stand to lose a lot of that. If we're not going to take that risk and we're just going to license stuff, well, it would have to be a major hit like a Super Mario Brothers for it to be worth our effort. And I don't know. What do you think?
I don't think it has to be a major hit. I think, like, we were saying this yesterday, where, like, the name GTA carries a lot of favor, and I think you could easily make a Bully series and it'd play incredibly well.
I bet that would do very well. Yeah,
and Rockstar can get on their high horse of, like, no, we tell really good stories in video games, and they do. They can, and they've shown the ability to do that. A lot of that can translate properly, done well, to a TV series, big budget TV series, or a movie. And we're in a different world now where licensed TV, licensed movies don't have to be Garbo anymore.
Yes, I think that the hope is from a lot of these companies that are taking an approach that Zelnick is sort of outlining here, and, like Sony, although Sony owns Sony Pictures, and so there's a big difference there. But still, Sony's strategy is transmedia. It is, we are going to make these shows in these movies because that helps boost sales of the games, and then vice versa. They have an effect on one another, and that has been proven over and over with The Witcher and a handful of other things where, like, things just shot off for these games. Last of Us probably doing the same thing. So it does feel like leaving maybe a little bit of money on the table, but I understand what he says. But it's like, one big risk here could make these game. I don't know. Does a bad Grand Theft Auto movie hurt Grand Theft Auto games in any way? Probably not, right?
No, not at all. I like this Gran Turismo movie, whether it's good or bad or middling. I don't think it's going to hurt Gran Turismo the game at all.
I bet that's going to be my favorite. It's Neil Blomkamp. Is that his
Neil
name?
Blomkamp.
Blomkamp, thank you. Blomkamp. Yeah, I bet it's going to be my favorite movie of his. I really didn't like District 9. Yeah, it bugged me. I don't know.
Bugged you. Good one, Grubb. Good one.
All right, skipping ahead here. Roblox stock drops 21% after missed expectations and rising costs. This is from Jordan Fragan at GamesBeat. Roblox stocks tumbled by over 20% since it announced its Q2 2023 financial results. Well, the company did increase bookings by 1% compared to Q1 to $780.7 million. This was not enough to offset missing analyst expectations for playtime and daily active users. Last quarter, Roblox users spent 14 billion hours on the platform. This fell short of analyst expectations of 14.4 billion hours of playtime. Similarly, DAUs, daily active users, fell about 1% to 65.5 million from last quarter. Analysts expected the company to achieve 65.8 million daily active users. Roblox did say, hey, the people that are playing longer, but that's what happens when you have fewer players. The ones that stick around are the more dedicated players. So that's like not necessarily some really great measuring stick. Roblox is weird, Jan. They did that initiative recently that a lot of the gamers of that play Roblox called the sex update, even though it didn't have any sex in it. It was, we're going to enable more games to have mature themes. And that meant kissing and some other stuff that wouldn't have been allowed in the very kid-focused games previously, because the Roblox audience is growing up. And they're like, maybe we can keep some of that audience in here. Yeah. Oh, man, Roblox came out in 2006, Jan. So it's like, this is some insane world that we live in. But it does seem like that effort and these efforts aren't really working. And maybe this is, we point out Pokemon all the time. Pokemon not growing up with its audience, that's never hurt Pokemon. And maybe Roblox should be emulating that, where it's like, you need to be aimed at the next generation of kids coming up and not worrying about keeping the audience you have around. They might stick around, they might not, but they are going to, their tastes are going to change, and it's very hard to wrangle that.
Yeah, I mean, just look at Dib. Dib is a growing young lad.
That's right.
Dib's tastes are going to change. I don't want to speak for the Bacalar family and everything. But you nailed it with a Pokemon comparison. There will be folks like occasionally myself that pop back in and out or lean into the nostalgia factor. I don't know how Roblox does that. But a game like Minecraft is able to stay relevant because it just keeps improving the base game, the base package, and leaning on the popularity to keep bringing in younger, newer audiences. I don't know. Maybe people are finally starting to smell the stink on Roblox.
Yeah, I mean, I think that kids are probably recognizing it quicker than they ever have, right?
That being said, I was at my goddaughter's birthday over the weekend, and they had a prize for a little game, and it was $20 in Robux. The little kid that won it went apeshit.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's still, millions and millions of people playing Roblox. The most played game on Roblox crushes almost any game, period. Like, there's like several 100,000 playing like that Adopt-Me every single day. Baldur's Gate 3, these are free games, so there's a difference there. But Baldur's Gate 3, it's 800,000. That's just one of those popular Roblox games every single day for years now.
Oh my God.
So, let's check in with Bacalar real quick and see how he's handling the Roblox. Oh, he's buzzed. We got the drunkometer here, and he just can't handle it. Everybody, that's tough.
Oh man,
sorry, Bacalar. Let me get that.
Oh man,
there we go. Okay.
He's never seen this. He's never seen this.
He definitely saw it before. He's had the same response. What the fuck is this? And now, to be honest, I don't remember the context. I don't remember. I don't remember why we did that joke.
There's the drunk meter, the scale of importance.
Yes, the scale of importance. They're similar. Like, it's basically he just flips it, and it's like on the other side it has the scale of importance, and the other side's the drunkometer.
I think because this dates back to Grubb snacks.
It does,
I believe.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Roblox doesn't even register on the scale of importance. All right, let's hit these last couple stories. Japanese charts. Pikmin 4 retains its crown for the third week in a row. This is from Jim Norman at Nintendo Life. This week's Japanese charts are in from Famitsu, and we once again are seeing Nintendo's latest big release top the competition. Pikmin 4 sold another 78,000 copies. It's now at 596,000 physical copies in Japan alone. That is really, really good. I mean, just to put it in perspective, Tears of the Kingdom in Japan is at 1.8 million physical sold. And that game is, as we all know from the news stories, one of the fastest selling games ever. And this is doing about a third of that. And it's Pikmin 4. And it's like Pikmin 4 should not be doing a third of Zelda, at least not historically. And it's awesome that it is. Some other like points of comparison, like a new game. I'm trying to see if there's anything new here, actually. Not really, but like a couple other games that are like high on the chart. Natsuban 20th Century Summer Vacation is at like 31,000 units total over a matter of weeks. So yeah, that is really impressive. I mean,
PSA, this does not have anime ladies in it. I'm currently watching a trailer.
Oh, sorry. I apologize. I'm sorry. You wasted your time. Minecraft, which is very popular on the Switch in Japan, is at like 3.2 million total. And the fact that this is already sort of like getting near that 1 million physical in a couple of weeks is just astounding for Pikmin 4. And then finally, review roundup for Atlas Fallen. This is from Evan Campbell at GameSpot. Screen Rant gave it a 4 out of 5. Says Atlas Fallen is a beautiful open world adventure game covered with surfable sand and challenging enemies. Developer Deck 13 previously made a name for itself with the challenging action game like 2014's Lords of the Fallen and the Surge series. However, the team has taken everything it's learned that fully takes advantage of current gen hardware and leaves the last generation in the dust. IGN, meanwhile, gave it a 7 out of 10 and said Atlas Fallen is a solid open-world action RPG with plenty of platforming and large monsters to fight. RPG Site gave it a 6 out of 10, says Atlas Fallen is an average action RPG with some interesting momentum, combat mechanics, a respectable open-world design, subpar presentation, and a disappointing narrative. And then Games Hub gave it 2 out of 5. The first time you're given the chance to surf down a sand-covered mountain in Atlas Fallen is invigorating. You immediately want to do it again, and you can. Anywhere there's sand, you could surf and slide and leap great distances while admiring the stunning horizon. A moment like that doesn't exist for the game's combat. And when lackluster combat makes up the bulk of Atlas Fallen's loop, it makes it that much harder to work up the motivation to continue exploring everything else the world has to offer. This is like one of the bigger games coming out that's not Armored Core 6 or one of these other ones, but I know people are looking forward to it. Sounds like it's going to have its fans, like all these other previous games from the studio.
Totally. I don't remember this at all.
Yeah. I mean, Atlas Fallen's kind of a generic name, right? It's really easy to like not even recognize it. But yeah, it's out today, so people can get it today. Yes.
I saw the title, or I scanned through the stories, and I thought you meant Immortals of Avium.
Yeah,
I think I missed the word there.
I don't blame you for thinking that. That title is in the same realm as Atlas Fallen. Atlas Fallen, Immortals of Avium. I have to just mumble some stuff out while you're at an Arby's calling into a new show.
Death Triangle.
Death Triangle. Yes, exactly. Yeah, there it is. All right, we got the poll from yesterday. Actually, it's going to take me a second to get that up. While I do that, Jan, what do we have happening on giantbomb.com?
If you're watching live, go get downloading Team Fortress 2, because in an hour we will be throwing it down with TNT playing TF2. Grubb will be able. Make a server. Everyone can jump into that, right?
So I think in general, the game lets you just have everybody connect to a server you make on your PC. We don't have a dedicated server. Hopefully, that won't be too much of an issue. And what we'll do is I'll just set a password, and we'll get people in. And then occasionally what we'll do is I'll try to like see if I can just close the server down and then restart it, new password, and we'll get a new group in. And we'll try to make it work that way. But
yes.
Yeah, come in and play. A lot of people have been playing Team Fortress 2 lately, and I think it'll be a lot of fun to make that happen. So looking forward. I haven't played that game much at all, and I haven't played in years, so I'm looking forward to this.
Oh, nice.
Yes.
Also, unfortunately, as of this morning, we have had to reschedule with Jeff Jarrett once again.
Oh, bummer. I didn't know that.
I just saw those emails come in, unfortunately. We'll make it happen. Don't worry.
I just want slap nuts.
It's probably because, he has heat with games media right now. We're all going to band together as one big stable and jump him. So
that's exactly right.
He's waiting for the heat to die down after hitting Greg Miller.
Yeah, he knows we got Greg Miller's back always and forever.
Yeah.
I can't stand Greg Miller, but you touch one games journalist, you touch us all. All right.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. We ride at dawn, Jared.
We ride or die as well. All that, all the riding. You look out, slap nuts.
Yeah. Greg Miller's gonna be like bleeding and limping, and then like he's gonna hear a Discord notification, boop, boop, and it's gonna be you saying on your left.
On your left. There it is. Yeah, hell yeah, let's fucking go. All right. Poll question from yesterday: have you ever bought a cosmetic skin in a game that was priced higher than $10? 33% said yes, and 67% of you are dirty liars.
You're lying. You are so lying out there. Why would you do that?
Yeah.
Why would you lie to us out of all the people on the internet?
I thought we were friends. I thought we were close. I thought you wouldn't do me like this. 67% said no. You know what? That 33% probably spent a lot more than $10 though, right? They probably spent a significant chunk of change. Those are our whales. Shout out to the whales, the real homies.
Yeah.
New poll question for tomorrow, because tomorrow's Friday, because today's only Thursday, right? For tomorrow, have you watched Twisted Metal? Yes, I binged it. Yes, I watched it. No, but I will. No, I won't ever. That will be going up on youtube.com/@giantbomb. Find it there on the community tab. You can vote, share it with your friends. I don't know. I don't vote. I just vote. I don't care.
Just vote.
We'll talk about it tomorrow. It'll be fun. Anything else? Anything else we need to mention?
Game Mess tomorrow as well.
Game Mess, Dregs Day.
We'll have Dregs Day. We'll have a regular voicemail dump truck later today. We just won't have double J on it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. Everyone should tune in for that. Look up for that, and then we are doing UPF. What did we decide? We're going to do?
Can we say what we're doing?
I think we could say, because it's, well, you know what? Let's be careful. We might have an embargoed game we're going to be playing.
Yes,
man, and there's so much other stuff going on. I'm going to find some time to slot in some Mortal Kombat, but I want to get more Baldur's Gate on this website, Jan. We got to figure something out there.
Yeah,
so.
Maybe we should have if Dan can't manage to get Blight Club up and running. Maybe we have a connectivity compadres.
Okay, I would like that.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds like a good plan. So we'll find next week. We're gonna play some Baldur's Gate on this website, one way or the other. If I have to just like slot it in somewhere and play some, we'll do it because I want to play a lot more. All right, Jan, thank you so much for spending today talking with me about video games, man. I really appreciate it.
It's my favorite part of Thursday.
And everyone, you're the best audience in gaming. We'll be back at you tomorrow. Until then, have a good one. Take care of yourself, and goodbye.